want to start today with a mental image. I want you to close your eyes unless you're driving. Please don't close your eyes if you're driving. And picture a car,
Okay.
but not a normal car. I want you to picture a bathtub, a corrugated plastic bathtub, bolted onto a simple metal frame with a canvas roof that flaps like crazy in the wind.
Oh,
It has no airbags, it has no real windows,
yeah.
and if you kick the side of it, it sounds like a giant Tupperware container.
That is a painfully accurate description. And yet people absolutely adored this thing.
They did. We are talking, of course, about the Citroën Méhari, the car that just defined the French Riviera in the late 60s and 70s.
Oh, absolutely.
It wasn't just a vehicle, it was a vibe. It was the ultimate holiday on wheels.
It was freedom. Minimalist, rugged, and completely unpretentious. It was a car that didn't care if you were rich or, a college kid.
Exactly. And the reason we've pulled a stack of reports and specs for this deep dive today is not just to get nostalgic about vintage French cars. It's because the Méhari is back. But, and this is the crucial part, it's not a restoration. It's a reincarnation.
Yeah, that's the key. We're looking at the eStory, produced by Méhari Louis Sears, and to a lesser extent, the Eden. These are modern, fully electric vehicles that look identical to that 1968 classic, but are built with, 2026 technology.
So our mission today is to answer a specific question. How do you revive an icon without ruining its soul? Is it actually possible to keep the charm of a, let's be honest, dangerous plastic beach buggy while meeting modern safety standards?
And maybe most importantly, is it worth the price tag?
Oh yeah, because, spoiler alert, this plastic tub is not cheap.
It is definitely not cheap, but it's a fascinating case study in what we call rest-a-mod philosophy versus, replica manufacturing.
Let's start with the name, because I actually laughed when I read the background notes. Méhari. It sounds so exotic.
It is exotic. It's actually a North African term. A Méhari is a specific type of dromedary, a camel.
A camel. Wait, so Citroën launched a car and named it after a camel.
Specifically, a racing camel. The Méhari dromedary was famous for being incredibly resistant to heat, sober in its water needs, and able to carry people across difficult terrain without complaining.
Okay, that actually makes a lot of sense, because the car was basically just a utility tray with an engine.
It was born almost by accident. The original concept in the late 60s wasn't to build a fashion icon. It was to find a use for a new type of plastic called ABS. They realized if they thermoformed this plastic, they could make body panels that didn't rust, were super lightweight, and could take a beating.
And the timing was just incredible, right?
Yeah.
It launched in May 1968.
Which is such an iconic irony. You had the student revolution in Paris, people burning cars, and at the same time, Citroën launches this carefree, open-top leisure vehicle. It became the symbol of the other side of 1968, the hippie, beach-going freedom.
Right. Fast forward to today. The original Méharis are rusting away. Well, the chassis are. The plastic is probably still around.
Puddles, yeah.
But now we have companies like Méhari Louis Sears in France building the eStory. You made a distinction earlier that I want to drill into. You said this isn't a restoration.
No. And this is where people get confused. Usually when you see an electric classic car, someone has taken an old 1970 chassis, ripped out the gas engine, and shoved in a battery. That's a conversion.
Okay.
The eStory is a brand new vehicle.
So it's a replica.
Legally and technically, yes. It is built from scratch. New chassis, new plastic, new suspension, new motor. Méhari Louis Sears spent about 6 years developing this, initially with some support from Citroën, to get all the tooling right. They wanted it to be homologated.
Homologated. That's the key word there, isn't it? It means legally approved for road use under modern standards.
Exactly. Because you can't just build a plastic car in your shed and drive it on the street anymore. Safety regulations are a nightmare compared to the 60s.
That's
Precisely. And this brings us to the classification. The eStory isn't legally a car in the same way a Ford Fiesta or a Tesla is. It's classified as an L7E heavy quadricycle.
L7E. We see that term a lot in urban mobility stuff. So what does that mean? What are the limitations?
So L7E is a regulatory space between a motorcycle and a full car. It lets manufacturers bypass some of the most extreme crash test requirements like airbags and crumple zones that would be just impossible to fit into a 1960s design.
But there's a catch.
There is. In terms of driving, it usually means a speed cap, often around 90 kilometers per hour, though the eStory is capped a bit lower, and you're restricted from major motorways in most places.
But here's the flip side, which I found fascinating. The license requirements.
Right. In Italy, for example, where these are being distributed, an L70 vehicle can be driven by a 16-year-old with a B1 license.
Wow. Okay, that completely changes the target market. I was thinking of this as a toy for a 50-year-old collector. But actually, if you're a wealthy family with a villa somewhere,
Exactly. Your teenager can take the car to the beach or the shops totally legally. It fits perfectly into that resort ecosystem. It's a local runabout.
you're not driving this from Paris to Berlin. You're driving from the villa to the marina. Let's talk about the construction. I called it a bathtub, but the material science is actually pretty cool. The specs mention ABS plastic colored in the mass.
Tinté dans la masse. That's a very French way of putting it.
Okay, so what is that?
In English, we'd say molded in color. Think of a Lego brick.
Ah, okay.
You take a red Lego brick and you scratch it, it's still red on the inside, right? There is no paint to chip off.
Which for a car that's going to be driven through sand, bushes, and salt spray.
It's brilliant. If you scrape a modern painted bumper, you get that ugly black scratch. With the Méhari, you just get a scratch that's the same color as the rest of the car. You can literally sand it down and buff it out.
And you can wash the interior with a hose. I read that.
That was a key requirement of the original, and they kept it. The interior uses nautical fabric stuff meant for boats. The chassis is galvanized and aluminum to prevent rust. You literally open the doors, hose out the sand, and let it dry.
I love that. It's a car you don't have to baby. But let's look under the hood, or I guess under the tub. We are ditching the noisy two-cylinder gas engine for electric. What are the stats?
So looking at the 2026 specs for the eStory, it uses an electric motor putting out about 11.1 kilowatt continuously. Now, 11 kilowatts sounds tiny.
That sounds like a blender.
It does. It's not much horsepower. But remember, the car weighs nothing around 600 to 700 kilograms. And the key with electric is torque. The original gas Méhari really struggled up steep hills, this thing.
Instant torque.
Instant torque, it just pulls immediately.
And the range. Because usually electric beach buggy implies you get to the beach, but you might have to push it home.
That's the biggest surprise in the data. They offer 2 battery packs. The standard is 15 kilowatters, which gives you about 220 kilometers of range on the WLTP cycle.
Which is already plenty for a weekend runabout.
But they have a 25 kilowatt option that pushes it to 315 kilometers.
315 kilometers in a plastic box.
Oh.
Well, that's almost too much. Who is driving this thing for 4 hours straight?
Probably nobody, but it solves range anxiety. If you leave this at your vacation home, you might only need to charge it once every 2 weeks. You don't have to remember to plug it in every single night.
Speaking of plugging in, are we talking fast charging? Can I supercharge my Camel?
Chuckles. Not really. It's type 2 charging. Standard wall outlet is slow about 10 hours. They have an optional onboard charger that cuts it to roughly 4 hours.
Right.
Again, the use case is charge overnight, not stop on the highway.
Okay, let's get to the driving experience.
Okay.
Because I've driven vintage cars. They are charming, but they are also a workout. Heavy steering, stiff clutches.
This is where the modern engineering steps in. They didn't just copy the old mechanics. The eStory has electric power steering.
Ah.
It makes maneuvering into tight parking spots completely effortless, whereas the original required some real bicep strength.
And no gears.
No gears, simple reducer. You have a selector, drive, neutral, reverse. That's it.
I saw something about the parking brake that caught my eye.
Yeah.
An automatic electric parking brake. Why? Why is that a headline feature?
If you've ever driven a manual car on a steep hill, say a coastal road down to a beach, you know the panic of the hill start.
Oh, the anxiety is real. I sweat just thinking about it. Trying to balance the clutch and the brake so you don't roll backward.
The eStory solves that. The brake disengages automatically when you touch the accelerator and re-engages when you stop. It holds you on the hill. It makes the car accessible to anyone, not just people who know how to drive a vintage stick shift.
They also have these driving modes: normal, eco, city, and mountain. Does mountain mode turn it into a 4x4?
No, and that's a common misconception. In the standard model, mountain mode changes the regenerative braking. It caps your speed at 80 kilometers, but seriously increases the engine braking.
So when you were going down that steep hill,
The car controlled its own speed and recharges the battery rather than you riding the brake pedal until it smokes.
that is smart. However, you did say 4x4. Is there a version that can actually handle sand? Because the original was front-wheel drive, and it could get stuck.
There is. They have a model called the Signature 4x4. It uses 2 electric motors, one on each axle.
Now we're talking all-wheel drive.
This is for the serious user. If you have a vineyard with rough tracks, or you actually want to drive on loose sand, the 4x4 version is genuinely capable. They even make a pickup version with a cargo bed.
I saw that. A payload of 236 kilograms. Perfect for hauling surfboards, coolers, or, I don't know, landscaping equipment.
Exactly. It's being targeted at luxury hotels for their groundskeeping crews. Silent, clean, and looks stylish.
We should probably address the Eden as well. We've been talking about the eStory, but there's another player from the 2CV Méhari Club Cassis.
Right. The Eden is very similar, another electric replica.
Yeah.
They position themselves slightly differently, emphasizing premium customization and that spirit of freedom. It just shows that this isn't a one-off experiment. There's a legitimate competitive market for these new old electric beach cars.
Okay, we've delayed this long enough. We need to talk about the price. Because in my head, a plastic car with a canvas roof and no windows should cost, I don't know, 15,000 euros.
You are living in the past, my friend.
Brace me.
Based on the 2026 pricing in Italy and France, the base classic model starts at around 32,000 euros.
Ouch.
And if you want the 4x4 signature version, you're looking at over 40,200 euros.
40,000 euros. That is BMW money. That is
Right.
very nice, sensible family SUV money. How do they justify that for a quadricycle?
It comes down to scale. Ford builds 1 million Fiestas. These guys are building hundreds of eStories.
It's hand-assembled.
It's hand-assembled, the tooling costs are high, and honestly, it's a luxury good.
It's a toy.
It's a toy for people who don't need to ask the price. If you are buying this, you already have the nice family SUV. You probably have two. This is for the vacation home. It's a lifestyle purchase.
And you're paying for the lack of headache?
Exactly. You could buy a vintage Méhari for 15,000 euros, but then you're dealing with carburetors, rust, oil leaks. With the eStory, you get a 5-year warranty on the battery, you turn the key, and it just works. That reliability is what the high-end customer is paying for.
Safety was a big part of that cost too, right? I read about the seats.
Oh, massive. The original seats were basically lawn chairs. To sell this in 2026, even as a quadricycle, they had to pass safety norms. The rear seats on the original would have failed the pull test instantly, meaning in a crash, the seatbelts would have ripped the seats right out of the floor.
Which is
Not ideal.
very much not ideal. So they had to engineer reinforced subframes and new seat structures that look vintage but behave modernly.
Yeah.
That engineering time costs a lot of money.
So pulling this all together, we have a plastic legend, reborn, it's silent, it's clean, it's safer, and it's expensive.
It connects to a bigger shift in how we view retro. For a long time, electric cars tried to look like spaceships, Cybertrucks and pods.
Yeah. The eStory proves that electric drive is actually the best thing that ever happened to classic cars.
Also,
Because it removes the friction. It takes the noise, the smell, and the unreliability out of the equation, leaving you with just the design and the open-air experience. It preserves the soul of the Méhari while deleting all the mechanical annoyance.
it's interesting to think about the future of tourism with these.
That's where I think this is going. Imagine a small Greek island or a resort town in Italy.
Okay.
Right now, you fly there and you rent a generic gray mid-size sedan. It has air conditioning, the windows are up, you are isolated from the world, it's boring.
And it's loud, and it pollutes the local village.
Exactly. Now imagine that same island, but the only rental cars available are these electric Méharis. They're silent, you can hear the cicadas, you can smell the pine trees, you aren't rushing.
It changes the entire pace of the vacation.
It makes the transit part of the experience rather than just a way to get from the hotel to the beach. I think we'll see more and more high-end destinations switching their rental fleets to vehicles just like this.
I'm sold. Although at 40,000 euros, I think I might have to rent one rather than buy one.
I think that's the plan for most of us.
I'll take one in Atacama yellow, purely for the weekend.
I'm sticking with the blue Sonoran. It matches the ocean better.
We'll raise them. Slowly. Before we wrap up, we want to do something we don't always make time for. We've been looking at the numbers, and the community around these deep dives is growing faster than we ever expected.
It really is humbling, whether you are listening on your commute at the gym, or maybe even, if we're lucky, driving a silent electric buggy somewhere sunny right now. We really appreciate you letting us ride shotgun in your ears.
Seriously, thank you. This show only works because you guys are curious enough to listen to us geek out about plastic camels and battery specs. We love making these, and we hope you love listening to them. Thanks for diving deep with us.
Until next time.
Stay curious, everyone.